In this video, we're going to take a look at the naming and chemical formulas of covalent compounds. So remember, covalent compounds are those that consist of two nonmetals, at least the simple binary ones. And so this is what this video is going to focus on, is just simple binary covalent compounds. So if we're going from name to formula, we're going to start by writing the symbol for the first nonmetal, followed by the symbol for the second nonmetal, and then we're going to use the prefixes from the name to determine the subscript for each nonmetal. So we do need to know and understand the Greek prefixes for naming conventions with covalent compounds. So 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 penta, 6 hexa, 7 hepta, 8 octa, 9 nona, and 10 deca. You are never going to need to know above 10. Really, you probably are not using anything above 6 anyway, but it's worthwhile knowing all of these different variations. So let's just jump into some examples here. So first one we've got is nitrogen monoxide. Now, if there's no Greek prefix in front of the first element, it means that there is one of them. So we're going to write the symbol for our first nonmetal, nitrogen, and then our second nonmetal is oxygen. And then looking at the Greek prefixes, both of those are 1, but we don't put the numbers in our final chemical formula, so the chemical formula for nitrogen monoxide is just NO. Looking at our next one, dinitrogen monoxide, so we're going to go N as our first element, nitrogen, oxide is O. Looking in front of the N, di means 2, and then mono means 1, and then we don't put the 1 in there, so it's just N2O for nitrogen monoxide. Finally, carbon tetrafluoride, carbon is C, fluorine is F. There is 1 carbon and there are 4 fluorines. That comes from the tetra. So it's CF4 for carbon tetrafluoride. Now, what if we wanted to go the opposite direction? So we're given a chemical formula and we want to come up with a name. The steps we're going to follow is we're going to write the name of the first nonmetal, followed by the second nonmetal. We're going to change the ending of the second nonmetal to IDE, and then we're going to add prefixes to the beginning of both of the nonmetals. Now, the one caveat to this rule is that we never add mono to the first nonmetal. But if we have a mono for the second nonmetal, we do need to add that in. So let's take a look at some examples and see how this series of rules works. Now, starting with our first one, P2O3, if we look up P is phosphorus. So let's put that in, phosphorus. And then O is oxygen. We're changing the ending to IDE, so that becomes oxide. Now, P has a 2, so we need to put a di in front of phosphorus. And O has a 3, so we need to put a tri in front of oxide. So this becomes diphosphorus trioxide. Our next one, CO. C is carbon. O is oxygen or oxide, since we're changing the ending. Now, they both only have 1. We don't put the mono here, but we do have to put the mono in front of the oxide. So this becomes carbon monoxide. And finally, SF6, we have sulfur, and we have fluorine, which becomes fluoride. And there are 6 of them, so that is a hexafluoride, or sulfur hexafluoride. Now, there's only 1 sulfur, no need to put mono in the front, so we are done with that chemical name. Now, finally, there's one more type of covalent compound that we do need to point out in terms of naming and coming up with chemical formulas, and those are our diatomic. So di means 2, and atomic means atoms. So diatomic means 2-atom covalent compounds. These are the elements on the periodic table that always exist as a diatomic compound. So they are iodine, bromine, chlorine, fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, or hydrogen. So anytime you see that name, like if I asked you for the chemical formula for hydrogen, you would give me H2. It's never just H. H is just one atom, and that is not correct for a chemical formula for a diatomic covalent compound. Now, you might be wondering, well, how do I remember what these all are? There's a couple of different sayings that you could use. The ones I kind of like to use acronyms or the first letter of each of the elements in a sentence to help you remember. So one could be, I bring chlorine for our, for our new hot tub. So that one's a good one to remember those. So if you take the first letters of each of those, that gives you your elements that are all diatomic. So I is for iodine, Br is for bromine, chlorine is for chlorine, fluorine, and so on. You could also just use, I've seen this quite a lot, Hofbrinkel. It's not really a word, not really a saying, but it is pretty rememberable, if that's a word, for you to remember these diatomic ones. And then if you really want to get crazy, the other one is have no fear for ice cold beer. I will leave that one with you. So you can pick whichever saying makes sense for you to remember your diatomic covalent compounds. So that is our naming and our chemical formula for simple binary covalent compounds. That's it for this video then. We'll see you in the next one.